I am so pleased to be able to come here tonight and to look out in this space. It sees all of you. It's absolutely incredible. And we are celebrating 10 years of a collaboration with the National Science Foundation. AAAS and the National Science Foundation go back a long way together, and not just on ERN. And so I think that it is really fitting that we take this time out to think about how very special it is that we would be able to come together to celebrate all of you and to give you an opportunity to begin your journey. Interestingly, there are a number of people that we would like to have had from the National Science Foundation to join us. But coincident with this event is the National Science Foundation celebration of their 70th anniversary as an agency. 70 years. "70 years of supporting basic science and education." And it's always important to remind people that the idea of supporting education and supporting the next generation was there in the National Science Foundation's vision from the very beginning. You think about the fact that the foundation has its official birthday in May of this year. Its first director, Alan T. Waterman, took over in 1951, and its first grants for predoctoral and postdoctoral fellows were given in 1952. So this idea of supporting the next generation has been an absolutely fundamental part of what the foundation has been about. And we are honored as AAAS to be able to join with you in helping to make all of this possible. Now, I told you the good stuff, but let me just ask something of you. Both the foundation and AAAS also have conference policies that ask that we be respectful of each other, that we do not harass, that we do not have bias, that we basically treat each other with civility and respect. And so that's the spirit that we go into this meeting with. Let me also urge you to take advantage of all of the different things that are here. Yes, you're going to give your poster or your orals, but there are workshops that are here for you to build your skills. There are exhibitors who are here to try to get you to come to graduate school or to go to work or to come for a summer program or something. Take advantage of the people who are here who are able to assist you in taking that next step. My main role, however, is to basically kick off this meeting, and I will do it with asking that we have welcome remarks from both the National Science Foundation and from AAAS. From the National Science Foundation, we are very pleased to have Dr. Sylvia James. Please read her complete bio within the program book. She is the Deputy Assistant Director for the Directorate for Education and Human Resources up at the National Science Foundation. But Sylvia and I go way back. When I first knew Sylvia, she was working in informal. You were at the Science Center.
At the aquarium.
You were at the aquarium, yes. So, I mean, she did fun stuff. She probably thinks this is less fun now, right? No, okay. Dr. James has been a strong supporter of this effort. She is, prior to assuming this role as Deputy Assistant Director, she served as the Director of the Division of Human Resource Development. As Division Director, she managed a $148 million budget and a talented team of staff that supports this kind of work. And so she also serves as the co-chair of the Federal Coordination in STEM Broadening Participation Interagency Working Group and was a member of the borough's Welcome Fund Student Science Enrichment Program Advisory Committee. So all of her effort has actually been focused on supporting students and on bringing students into the community and bringing the community to the students. Dr. James.
Thank you, Dr. Malcolm, for that warm introduction. Good evening, everyone. On behalf of the National Science Foundation, I'm pleased to welcome you to DC for the 2020 Emerging Researchers National Conference. I'm especially excited about this year's convening because, as was indicated, we're celebrating 10 years of supporting the ERN conference. That means 10 years of providing space and opportunity for overall professional development for young researchers. I understand that this year we have set record level attendance with 1,450 participants at all levels and capacities. Thank you for joining us. Of course, I would be remiss if I did not thank my NSF colleagues and AAAS for their labor of love over this decade of innovativeness and hard work that has made this conference a success year after year. As you know, the ERN conference presents a great opportunity for student researchers to get to know peers and to learn about research taking place around the country, and to ultimately lead a new American STEM workforce that is made up of people from many different backgrounds. At NSF, we are funding innovative projects aimed at making that diverse STEM workforce a reality, and I'll tell you about one of the programs that I work with shortly. In fact, you may be familiar with or already supported by any number of the projects and programs such as the Alliances for Graduate Education and the Professoriate, AGAP, the Historically Black Colleges and Universities Undergraduate Program, HBCU UP, Research Experiences for Undergraduates, REU, the Graduate Research Fellowship Program, GRFP, and if you haven't considered applying to GRFP, I encourage you to do so. The Lewis Stokes Alliances for Minority Participation, or LSAMP, Tribal Colleges and Universities Program, or TCUP, and the Hispanic Serving Institutions Program, the HSI program. These programs play a significant role in preparing and jumpstarting your STEM careers. Just as NSF begins celebrating its 70th anniversary, a history that is filled with advancements and discoveries that propel this nation, your research will continue to guide and create new educational assets for the next 70 years. Hopefully I'll be retired well before that, but you can take my place. As you move ahead in your careers, think about how your role as a discoverer produces opportunities for educational excellence and can help make progress in our efforts to broaden participation in STEM. There is no more exciting time than the present to pursue research on important STEM topics. We are living in a time when research and innovations are coming at us from all directions, at high speeds. New computational tools allow us to generate large sets of data about discoveries and to analyze their importance to make specific communities, as well as humanity at large. Make no mistake, all of you are part of that energetic stream of knowledge creation. In fact, Vannevar Bush, the NSF visionary, wrote in his book, Science: The Endless Frontier, that to maintain a position of world leadership, The flow of new scientific knowledge must be both continuous and substantial. I am delighted to say that over the years, emerging researchers like yourselves, with NSF support, have made outstanding contributions to science, even leading to breakthroughs that have transformed our lives, making them healthier, more productive, and more enjoyable. And that can't happen without participation from all segments of our society. As you may be aware, studies indicate that our society's most challenging problems, most vexing problems, are best solved by diverse teams from a broad set of backgrounds who can contribute a wide range of perspectives and ideas. That is what prompted the launch of NSF's 10 Big Ideas, which I encourage you to look up on our website, www.nsf.gov. These are bold, long-term research ideas that identify areas for future investment at the cutting edge of science and engineering. They represent the work that you are doing now and potentially the work that you will do in the future. So we encourage you to think about how your research can contribute to these emerging areas. On that note, just this week, NSF held an award ceremony on Tuesday for the 2026 Idea Machine. The NSF 2026 Idea Machine is a contest in which the foundation sought input on grand challenges to inform its long-term planning. Approximately 800 entries were received from nearly every state in the U.S. We received ideas from established researchers, undergraduate and graduate students, teachers on behalf of their classes, and even high school and middle school students. The winning entries span across various STEM fields, including engineering and cognitive science, and will inform the national research agenda and bridge recognized gaps in our existing knowledge. So as you can see, students are directly contributing to setting our long-term research priority areas. Another way that we're ensuring student voices are among the leading voices that are pushing the boundaries of cutting-edge research is through NSF Includes. And you may have noticed that we like acronyms, so Include stands for Inclusion Across the Nation of Communities of Learners, of Underrepresented Discoverers in Engineering and Science. And it's one of the 10 big ideas. It's an enabling big idea. NSF Includes brings people and organizations together who might have been working in isolation and enables them to work collaboratively to address pervasive challenges in STEM at scale. That's what distinguishes NSF Includes from our other broadening participation programs. There's the funding to scale up the projects at the level of research centers. NSF Includes is supporting students like yourselves by creating networks across the country. You too can join this initiative. We encourage you to become part of the NSF Includes National Network. All you have to do is to go to this website, www.nsfincludesnetwork.org, and create an account. By joining this network, you can browse opportunities including internships, fellowships, grants, and professional development, access resources, contribute to databases, and much more. I want to close my remarks today by wishing success to all conference participants and attendees. I hope that these 3 days will provide a space where you can share your work, think critically, and learn together to better understand the emerging trends and findings from your research. Your work continues to shape new solutions for tomorrow's challenges. Thank you for all you're doing to advance STEM and for future generations. Have a good conference.
Thank you so very much. I want to reiterate the fact that we have had a wonderful partnership with the National Science Foundation, and it has brought joy to us all. I do want to mention one thing before I introduce our boss at AAAS. Putting on an extravaganza of this complexity is non-trivial. And while we will be calling out the AAAS staff. I particularly want to give a shout out, if you're still up there, to Dr. Iris Wagstaff. She's somewhere, okay? And she will be recognizing her team, but I just thought that it is important to do that. It's my pleasure to, where is she? Okay, one of the things that I will mention is that usually the other thing that I ask is to you to really hold the noise down. I understand while we're serving that there's a lot of competition for your attention, but please just let's try to get the noise down. Wonderful, thank you. Okay. It's my pleasure now to introduce Dr. Sudip Parikh. It's interesting, he's the new guy. He's been there for 1 month, okay, at AAAS. He is the Chief Executive Officer and Executive Publisher of the Science family of journals. It's interesting that I mentioned the notion of the graduate fellowship because you were an investment that the National Science Foundation made. He received a graduate research fellowship while earning his PhD in macromolecular structure and chemistry from the Scripps Research Institute in La Jolla. There, he used structural biology and biochemistry techniques to probe the mechanisms of DNA repair enzymes bound to DNA. The son of Indian immigrants who worked in the textile and furniture manufacturing plants of North Carolina, Parikh completed undergraduate studies at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. Interestingly, first as a journalism major before switching into material science. He became the 19th CEO of AAAS on January 6th. So happy 1 month birthday.
All right, I need you to do me a favor because, I have only 1 month in the job, and I really want to take a picture of all these wonderful people. So just stand there. This is for my Twitter feed, okay? So everybody look and smile. All right, smile. There you go. All right, and just one more. Okay, now I'm going to keep that because I expect at least 4 of you to win the Nobel Prize. And so when you do, I'll have that picture to be able to share. All right, so first of all, I want to thank Shirley for that introduction. I was an NSF Graduate Research Fellow. It's a long, long time ago, but that's the step, that's the road you're on. But first, I want to thank Shirley, and I want to, there's a few young people in the room who might not know who Shirley is. So I'm going to introduce my introducer, if that's all right. Shirley Malcolm is, she's a trailblazer, okay? Shirley is probably the reason I'm here, all right? Because long before I thought about going into science, long before you all thought about going into science, she was here. She was here in Washington. She's actually younger than she looks. No, I'm sorry, she's younger. I don't know what I'm trying to say. I'm saying she's really young, okay? All right, I'm never going to live that one down.
I told him I only hang out with young people.
That's right. That's right. Long before you all thought about going to science and I thought about going into science, she was here trying to make science education better for everybody. Okay? She's been a member of the National Science Board, so what she didn't tell you is that's the people that are the boss of the NSF director. She was on the National Science Board. She's been a visionary in diversity and inclusion. She is a jouster with presidents, a verbal jouster, but she argues with presidents. She'll tell you the stories. And she's now a leader in moving from interventions to make sure that we have a broad base of diversity in science, to being an advocate for system change to make sure that we have great diversity in our scientific enterprise. So much respect. I'm technically her boss, but no, much respect to Shirley Malcolm. All right. So as the AAAS CEO, I do have a standard welcome speech that I give, and I give it at conferences, and it's got some good jokes. It tells you how amazing the AAAS is, which is true. It's true. It tells you how incredible the Science and Science magazine is, which is also true. Read it. And it also tells you how you should join, which you should. But mostly it has a few good jokes. But I'm not going to give that speech tonight. That's not the speech I'm giving. I'm giving a different speech. So the first question I'm going to ask is, how many of you are educators? Raise your hand. All right. Thank you. Thank you for what you do to get these students here. How many of you are practicing research scientists? All right. Thank you. Thank you for what you're doing to serve as mentors and leaders for these students. How many of you are government officials supporting this kind of work? All right, the few very important ones right up here. Thank them. Thank them. All right. So I want to thank all of you for what you've done. Now you can sit back because the rest of the speech is not for you. It's not for you. The rest of the speech is for everybody else in this room. How many of you are undergrads? All right. That's awesome. How many of you are grad students? Wow. For how many of you is this your first scientific meeting? Okay. That's fantastic. So look, throughout this night and throughout the rest of the couple of days, there's going to be a bunch of folks telling you, how to make the most of the meeting, how to do networking, et cetera, how proud we are of you. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to just say nice things to you all right? I'm going to extract promises from you, okay? The world needs you. Let me say it again. The world needs you. We live in extraordinary times. This is a time when scientific advances are moving so fast. Right now, we're talking about cures to diseases as opposed to just treating them. Right now, the cure for sickle cell anemia may be floating around in a young lady in the Delta of Mississippi. People with cystic fibrosis who should have died when they were 15 are going to live to be grandparents. We have seen a black hole. We've seen a black hole. We have seen mountains on Pluto. And yet, there are people who don't believe that vaccines work. There are people who believe the Earth is flat. We have seen mountains on Pluto. There are people who believe the Earth is flat. Now look, if we're going to continue to make the advances that we want, if we're going to continue to see cures for disease and to be in awe of the sky and to be in awe of what we find underneath the ground, we need you. The world needs you. All right, so I'm here to extract a promise from you. And I'm going to do it in the form of a contract. Okay? So I want you all to repeat after me. Just the students. The educators, you don't have to. All right. Whereas. All right. All great contracts start with whereas. Whereas I am a student of great potential. Whereas I stand on the shoulders of giants. Like Einstein, Newton, Curie, Shirley Malcolm, my teachers, and my family. You don't have to repeat that part. It's too much. But those are people you stand on the shoulders of. Every one of those people I just mentioned. Your teachers, your family. So, whereas the world needs me, no matter what profession I pursue, I will always be a scientist. All right, have an incredible meeting, and I expect you all to be scientists at every table that you sit at, whether it's a policy table or your kitchen table. make decisions using evidence and the power of science, okay? I'm so proud of each and every one of you. Have a great conference.
Wow. Thank you very much. And now I get to cede the mic to Neela.
Good evening, good evening. How's everybody doing? So, Sadeep, I just want to add that Shirley, Yolanda George, who used to run this conference, Iris Wagstaff, who currently convenes this, they are also my sheroes. I look up to them so much, so round of applause to them again. So I just want to be brief. My name is Neela White. I'm a project director at AAAS, so I get to work with Shirley, Iris, and many of those here. I lead the HBCU Making and Innovation Showcase. Where are my HBCU Making and Innovation Showcase participants? Oh, no. Where are my HBCU Making It and Innovation Showcase participants? There's more, they're stuck at the airport. But just wanted to say that we're bringing these students here. They submitted applications to solve societal problems based on the UN Sustainable Goals. And they submitted applications with hardware or software prototypes, which they'll be showcasing this weekend on Saturday. We invite you to join us. They'll be here doing sessions tomorrow. We have open sessions that will be open to ERN faculty and ERN students about understanding the business of entrepreneurship for students and about tech transfer for faculty, so we welcome you to those sessions. But the main thing is that we would love for you, if you have time permitting, to see them on Saturday, 9:30 to 11. They're pitching their prototypes to these solutions, aligning with what Dr. James said, student teams who are solving societal problems, and this is exactly what these students are doing. So if you can come over and join us, we'd greatly appreciate it. We will be raffling off 2 Apple Watches. Who wants an Apple Watch? Therefore, you need to show up Saturday, 9:30 to 11 a.m. at the showcase. It'll be in Washington 3. Just really want to thank you all. I think everything that you all are doing is wonderful. I hope that this is not your last conference, if this is your first, and welcome back to everybody who's returning to this conference. Thank you so much.
Good evening, everyone. I too welcome you to this wonderful conference. I'm Claudia Rankins. I'm the program officer for the Historically Black Colleges and Universities undergraduate program. Is anybody funded by HBCU Up? Thank you. One of the programs that has been funding this conference for the last 10 years. I want to join the previous speakers in wishing you a most wonderful conference experience. I hope that you'll walk away with new friends, new contact information, new knowledge. This evening, it is my pleasure to introduce you to the moderator of this panel of near peers who experienced this conference just a few years ago. Dr. Kelly Mack is an alumna of the University of Maryland Eastern Shore. Do I hear anybody? No. And Howard University? Okay. She is currently the Vice President for Undergraduate STEM Education and Director of Project Kaleidoscope at the Association of American Colleges and Universities. And even though Kelly and I have been friends and colleagues for many years, I have to read her title because it's a bit much to remember. I just want you to know that Kelly works tirelessly and with passion for making sure diversity, equity, and inclusion are not just words that we mention, but are put into practice in STEM education, in STEM higher education. While Dr. Mack holds a PhD in physiology from Howard University, she really is a naturally gifted moderator, and you're in for a treat. So I will turn this over to Dr. Mack, and she'll introduce the panel. Thank you, Kelly.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Claudia.
panelists.
Thank you. Good evening, family. Welcome to the ERN Alumni Panel. I am so excited for you to meet my new best friends, Monica, Alexandria, Sufira, and Jonathan. Unfortunately, Carlos couldn't join us this evening. He was delayed due to weather, but we're going to carry on without him nevertheless. So there are some exciting things that we want to get to. We're going to get to some real conversation as well. We've made a decision that this is going to be really honest and candid. They have said that I can go off script and I can get as deep as I need to get up here. But what I want to start off with is just some brief introductions. And I think it might make more sense for you to tell everyone what you do in your own words. So I don't know who wants to go first, but there are some things about each and every one of you that I want to make sure this audience knows. So I'm just looking around. I'm not going to pick anybody, but maybe we could start with Alexandria.
Oh, wow. Well, thank you, Dr. Mack. Well, my name is Alexandria Stewart. I am an undergraduate student at the University of Texas at San Antonio. I currently work as a peer ambassador for the Alamo Community College District in San Antonio, Texas.
And something, yes, absolutely. Give it up for Alexandria.
Thank you.
And one of the things that I want to make sure that we come back to, especially about you and your bio, is that you started off at a community college, and you have reached back to help others who are coming along that path. And I want to make sure we get to some conversation about that as well. So since I'm facing in this direction.
So my name is Monica. I am very, very happy to be here. Third time at ERN. You guys are going to have a fabulous time. I am currently 6th year PhD student. I hopefully will finish this December. I'm also an MBA candidate, so I'm a dual degree student. And in my very, very limited free time, because I just can't get enough, I'm also the CEO of Campus Ventures. It's basically an organization that seeks to improve the lives of high school sophomores and juniors by providing tailored college campus visits. So if any of you know any of your little siblings, friends from high school that you think would benefit from going to visit an elite college and maybe applying, reach out, let me know. Happy to be here.
So yeah, give it up for. So I'm really glad that the two of you are sitting together, because there's this theme of giving back over here. But before I go on, let's talk about this MBA.
The MBA, yes.
Yeah, so there was a book that I read many years ago, shortly after I got my doctorate. And the title of the book is simply, "A PhD is Not Enough." So tell us about this MBA that you're doing at the same time that you're getting a PhD.
Yes, so I would agree that I think a PhD is a wonderful place if you are super convinced you want to be an academic researcher. I really wanted to have my horizons, as open as I possibly could, and I kind of just decided to go for it. I'm at the Geese College of Business, and we are actually the very last in-person full-time class. The program is going fully online. I had to battle a little bit to be able to do both programs. I'm sure that many of you will encounter some resistance as you try to go through your PhD programs or your undergrad, but I absolutely love it. It is so much fun. I get to learn and interact and do so many things that, topics marketing and economics, I'm studying neuroscience, so it's very refreshing to go in and do something completely out of my comfort zone, and the people are just fantastic. So if you really are interested in something else and you want to be able to complement something like a PhD, and I think one of the natural questions is how does that actually complement your PhD? I know my boss would ask me that when I was first pitching this idea. One of the things they don't teach a lot of the folks that maybe you guys have as bosses is management skills, right? We all want to work with people who value us and are able to run organizations, whether it's a lab, a department. We get a lot of that in business school. So I highly recommend for people to look into that if that's something they would be interested in.
Nice, thank you, thank you. And so then swinging over here to the right, Safira.
All right, well, my name is Safira Sutton. Very happy to be here. I have my bachelor's. I got my bachelor's from the Fort Valley State University. I see y'all. I see y'all. I got my master's from Florida A&M University. All right. See, I'm well represented. I see that. All right. And I just currently finished my doctorate at the University of Georgia.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right. And that sums me up.
So are you used to? Not really, right? We're not done
yeah,
yet.
right.
But have you gotten used to people calling you Dr. Sutton yet?
I have not. It's awkward. It's weird.
Yeah.
They're coming up, they're like, hey, Dr. Sutton. I'm just like, who? And they're just like, yeah. I'm like, oh, you're right. You're right. Right.
And what about in the family? Do they tease you? Do they give due deference to you?
They do tease me. My nickname is Reet in my family, so they'll just be like, Dr. Reet, and they'll just text me, Dr. Reet. I mean, I didn't want nothing. I just felt like texting you, Dr. Reet, because,
Nice.
you know, so yeah, it's nice. It was nice.
That's
It's
so
very nice. Right.
Very nice. And meet my friend Jonathan.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jonathan Jones. I work for Corteva AgriScience. As of last week, I became the leader of the fermentation research group at Corteva AgriScience, which was in bioengineering and bioprocessing. We're an agriculture company that creates crop protection products as well as seed products in digital agriculture. I'm actually also a graduate student. I finished my MBA this month, double majoring in marketing and supply chain operations. Thank you. Thank you. So my background is in biochemical engineering. I started in manufacturing, moved to R&D, then to project management, and now back to R&D. I really wanted to make an impact in the research field because less than 1% of our ideas that come from our discovery sciences actually make it to commercialization. And I don't think that's all related to the greatness of the idea. I think it's related to the ability to market the idea and also to present effectively the business case. And so the MBA is really helping me to shape my understanding of that. And so I'm really thankful for the opportunity to lead one of our research groups.
So, one of the things that I read about you in a previous ERN is that you won a prize in the talent show contest.
I did.
Yeah, I don't want to put you on the spot, but maybe you can tell us how you won third place?
So I came to ERN twice. The first time I came, I was in the talent show and I sang. So I came in third place for that.
We don't believe you.
You're just gonna have to believe me.
Prove it.
You really want me to sing something?
Just a little bit. A little something. Yeah, let's have just a little something.
Okay, I'm gonna sing a church song if that's okay with you guys.
Okay.
It's called Welcome Into This Place. I don't know if y'all know that. Welcome into this place. Welcome into this broken vessel. You desire to abide in the praises of your people. So we lift our hands as we lift our hearts, as we offer up sweet praise unto your name. I haven't sang in a while, so I'm a little rusty.
We believe you now. Thank you so much. So I think that that's so important, though, because it's so easy for us to sit on this stage and talk about our accomplishments and our accolades and never really get to our real stories and the things that make us what we are and the things that we've been through. And so that's kind of where I want to start our conversation with our stories and how we got to this point. So I don't think we have time to go back to like when we were born and you know, stuff like that. But if you could think about your first ERN conference. Now, there are I saw a lot of hands for individuals who are here for the first time. And one of the things that I learned from my own students is that there's an ERN conference within the ERN conference, right? So there's the stuff that we as faculty see, and then there's the stuff that just students see.
Okay.
Right, so those who are new here, right, they need to know like about the ERN conference within the ERN conference. Here's why I think it's important. What I learned from my students is that most of my students were African Americans, and what I learned from them is that Black brilliance is about a lot more than our accomplishments and our goals, but that they are human, and they do human things that all humans their age do. So, who's got the best story about the first ERN conference? Tell the truth now. We need to hear the truth.
I can go.
Okay.
So I came to ERN my sophomore year of college, and I will tell you it was completely terrifying for me. The conference actually wasn't as large as it is right now, so that's a great surprise to see so many people here. But it was a great opportunity for me to have a chance to kind of voice why the research I was doing was important and what it really meant to me. It wasn't just about presenting what I learned in the lab, but also like what I'm going to take from the lab, what I'm going to take from the experience. And presenting at ERN actually launched my journey to presenting at multiple conferences. And actually, that's how I got my job at Dow before it became Corteva. I presented research at the regional conference for NSBE, prepped by ERN, and then I placed first at the regions and then went to nationals, and I got a job at Dow Chemical Company at the time because I was presenting my research. So it started at a conference like ERN, and getting that level of encouragement and motivation to keep pushing. I wasn't the best public speaker, but I got better over time. As you guys saw, I was pretty scared singing. But you get better, and you learn to love the science that you do. You get a chance to learn the things you don't like and the things that you do like. And what don't I like? So I originally was doing research on atomic force microscopy, and I really wanted to focus on how engineering products could benefit like the entire world, no matter your socioeconomic status, no matter where you live, no matter your background. And so after freshman year, I started doing research on a renewable energy milk cooling system for farmers in Africa. And look at me now, I work for an agriculture company. And my family has been in agriculture my entire life, but I've always lived in the city. And I've kind of done this full circle of how do I create products through engineering that help everyone and not just those who can afford it.
You said your family has always been in agriculture, but you lived in the city?
Yep, so my family is from Columbus, Georgia, but I actually traced my roots back to right down the street from where I live now. Kind of funny, after slavery, our family lived right down the street from where we live now, and we started as farmers. And we moved to Columbus, Georgia, and a lot of the younger generation moved to Atlanta, Georgia, so.
And anybody got a story, like the after party? You know, yeah, you know, like the story. We want to know about this. Don't you want to know about the story? Yeah. You want to know about the story.
Okay, so the first time I came to ERN, it was in 2012. I was in the first year of my master's degree, and just to give you an idea, this was like, Uber was not a thing outside of like San Francisco. Like a lot of us probably took Ubers here from the airport. Like that was not a thing. So I met so many really cool people at the conference, and then yes, after, I think it was on the Friday night of the conference, after everything kind of wound down, we all went to downtown DC, and we had a lot of fun. But the main thing that I remember, everyone was over 21. was, let's just throw that out there. But the reason I say the Uber thing is because there was probably 11 or 12 of us, people we had just met at ERN probably the day before, really getting to know each other, and we hailed a taxi, and somehow this man agreed, he had like an SUV, but he agreed for like 11 people to go inside the taxi. And literally we were just piled on top of each other. We had people in the trunk, like people you just met, you know, but it was so much fun. So, you know, the pre-Uber days, but you know, get to know the folks who you're, you know, sitting at your table with. You never know when you'll find yourself in the trunk of a stranger with them, apparently.
That's good advice. That's real good advice. Alexandria, Sophia, can you top that?
I can't top that.
No way.
Yeah, I can't top that.
No,
It's gotta
I'm not
be
that
beat.
exciting, no.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that. We appreciate it. But I do think it's important to understand just how real these experiences can be and how cherished the memories are. Okay, so you've been to ERN, and fast forward, you are now in the positions where you are. You like it, you love it, not so much. Ready to get, you love it, you like it.
Love it, like it.
Love it, like it?
Same thing.
Tell us why.
So I was actually in this position before my first ERN conference, but it kind of helped confirm to me.
You mean like as a student?
Well, as a peer ambassador, the position I'm in.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I was actually in that position before my first ERN conference, and for me, the ERN conference kind of helped confirm to me how important my position was to me, as well as to my fellow students.
Very good. So you have how long until you graduate?
I should be done with my school in spring 2021.
And then what are you looking at doing next?
Graduate school, but
Yeah,
you know,
'cause you can't sit on this
chemistry is
panel
such
and
a
not
broad
think.
field. I study chemistry, it's such a broad field, so I kind of want to narrow down what specific part of chemistry I want to go into.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you
That's
think
what-
you'll keep doing the peer ambassador in some
Yes.
way? Yeah.
Yes, for sure.
Good.
Yes.
Good.
It's a wildly important thing for me to do. Yes.
It means a lot, right? It
does.
makes you feel good.
Yes, it's important for me to be able to give back, because if it wasn't for the program that was at my community college, I wouldn't even be in a four-year institution. I wouldn't be in college. So it's important for me to give back to students who are kind of in that situation that I was in.
I agree. And I think that probably for all of us, there's something that we had to overcome, maybe something that we're even overcoming right now that gives meaning to what we do. I want to ask you, Jonathan, because you're in industry now, and it's a lot different than what we are seeing in our institutions when we go in the lab. You like it? Love it?
I actually love it. I get an opportunity to work with multiple reactors. In college, I only read about them in textbooks. And so it's an opportunity for me to kind of put my stamp on something. But the role that I just took last Wednesday is an opportunity for me to kind of also mentor future scientists, which I appreciate the mentorship that I've gotten. And I'm not that old, just so you guys know. So knowing that I'm not that old, but I can still be a mentor to someone else. I know when I was sitting in you guys' seat, that's one of the things that I thought about. They don't have that much experience. How can they be a mentor to me? But each person has something to bring to the table. So being a researcher and being a leader, I think this is a really great opportunity.
So Doc, you like it? You love it?
I guess I'm in between. I like it, and then I don't like it. Well, I mean, I'm out of the PhD program now, so I love that. Right. But when I was in it, I absolutely did not like it. Just because it was challenging, and you know, it changed me. You know, it's a process. You know, from getting your bachelor's to your PhD has been a very long journey for me. But in starting my journey when I was in my bachelor's at Fort Valley, under the mentorship of, I won't name him because I don't want him to get me in this conference. But he used to always motivate me to do, presentations and talk, because I'm actually a very quiet person, contrary to what it may seem. I'm very quiet, very reserved, and so I was always afraid to speak out. And so he would, push me and push me and push me, and then he finally brought me to one of these conferences. And so I was a, first-time member, like many of you here now, and like Jonathan, like some of us, sitting up here. And that was the first time I spoke, and after that, I wasn't afraid to speak anymore. Because, I met a lot of different people who were at a lot of different stages, and I felt kind of like I was at home. It felt normal. I didn't feel odd, and people could understand what I was saying. I didn't feel like I was weird because I was talking about something that no one knew anything about. People would come by my poster, whether they knew or not, and they seemed very interested. And so that made me want to tell them more. The more engaged they seemed to be, it made me want to talk more. And that also helped me get through my master's degree and my PhD, because you have to give presentations and you have to present your work, and you have to go to lab meeting, and you have to be able to facilitate conversations about what you've done to your PI, which can be intimidating, but these talks that you give at this meeting can be very good practice for that, to give you some sense of confidence in a sense.
So we've all kind of talked about our positions and where we work and what we do now. In terms of the outward-facing individuals that we deal with, have transactions with every day, we heard a talk this afternoon about, for people of color, what is it like when we're pursuing these degrees, advanced degrees, and we're the only one or we're the first one, and how we may or may not be accepted within our families. And I'm coming back to you, Doc, because you graduated how many months ago? Two months ago. My aunt used to call me her rich, stingy niece, because I made more money than everybody, but I didn't make MD kind of money, so I didn't have all the money that she wanted me to give her. And there was always that tension with us, because I was the rich, stingy niece, but really I was just broke. Right? I know. They called me doctor, but I was broke.
I've experienced that. Yes.
That's what I want to talk about. What's that been like for you?
From the perspective of being a student, being a minority at a large institution like UGA, or just with my family? Your family. So with my family in particular, my family, they've been pretty encouraging. They've been there for me. They've been my biggest support system, I would say. The hardest part now is that now that I've just graduated, they kind of think that, okay, graduated, job. It doesn't necessarily work like that per se. Sometimes you're blessed, and coming straight out of a degree, you have a job, or you've been networking and you may have a job, lined up. But in my case, I'm not in that particular situation, so I'm kind of applying and kind of waiting to hear back from things.
You're applying?
Yes, ma'am.
PhD in plant science, right?
Yes.
You want to teach?
I will, yes.
This is Dr. Saphira Sutton. She is a recent PhD in plant science, and she is looking for an academic position as a tenure-track assistant professor. I see some hands. Talk to Dr. Sutton when we're done.
Thank you for that. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate that.
For you,
See?
Do what we can to help. We got to help each other.
Thank you.
You just sit up here and just talk. We need a job.
Right. Thank you for that.
Of course. Family.
My family thinks, my family thinks I'm weird. I don't know how many of y'all out there are the only STEM-oriented person in your family. I definitely am. No one else in my family is STEM-oriented, so they all think I'm a weirdo. But they're proud, they're happy. I'm a first-generation college student, so they're definitely proud, but they think I'm weird. Thank you.
That's amazing. Thank you. That's amazing. How about you?
So I'm also a first-generation student. I'm actually from Cuba, and I came here when I was a little girl. I feel like it's similar to what Alexandra just said. My family is very proud of me, but they also, I think there are some challenges. The more education you obtain. It starts, a lot of people, even people who love you, might start kind of seeing you as sort of an other. You're not necessarily thought of the same way. I think my parents mean well overall. Like I said, they're very proud of me, but I think they always say things along the lines of like, well, that's the scientist in you saying that very logical thing. And I'd like to think, no, that's just me. But, you know, we just do the best we can. I try to read between the lines, and just try to take in more of the moments when they are like, yeah, this is my daughter. She's getting the PhD in neuroscience. And they don't really know what that means, but they know that that's something cool.
Yeah.
So I try to focus more on that than the, you know, we can't take you seriously. That's just a scientist in you talking. But.
Thank you for sharing that. Jonathan, how about you? What's your family situation like?
So my mom actually went to school for engineering, but she didn't graduate. And so I was kind of this, I guess I feel like I had this burden to finish for not just me, but also for her. So my family is also really proud. They never get my degree right. I get calls all the time. I hear you are a biomedical engineer, you're working on prosthetics. Nope, that's not what I do. I heard you went to law school and now you're a patent attorney. Nope, not what I do either. So I get a lot of that. But my family, they're truly my biggest cheerleaders. Actually, when I was sitting at the table waiting to come up here, my mom was actually calling me to wish me luck coming up here. So they're definitely there to support every step of the way. They've been at every event that they could be at, whether it was in Georgia or in DC. Yeah, they've been my biggest cheerleaders. So every time I go home, it's really a privilege to spend time with them. And now my cousin is going off to college. He just got a full ride to school, to a select group of HBCUs. I forget the name of the program, but he's really excited. So I'm excited for him.
Thank you. Absolutely. So here's where I'd like to go next. I'd like for you to finish this sentence for me. You can pick any point in time. If I knew back then what I know now.
I would network a lot more.
Say more about that.
I find that progressing, whether it be in academia or industry, or even in different aspects of your life, knowing people can help you. So you never know who you're gonna meet. You never know what the next person can do for you. So it's always important to talk to as many people as you can and learn as much as you can. There's never enough knowledge. Like, you can never know enough and be set. Like, you should just always talk as much as you can to as many people as you can. So that's what I would say in that sentence.
Maybe not piled up in a car like Monica was. That's a different kind of networking.
That is.
But nonetheless, it is a form of networking because she shares that experience with like 10 other people in the world.
True. I mean, I bet y'all had some good combos in that.
I bet they did too. I bet they did too. Yep.
I remember many of the conversations.
Anyone else? If I knew back then what I know now.
I would say I would tell people exactly what I need and what I want. That's one of the hardest things for most minorities to do, to speak up and tell someone exactly what they need, what they're missing, what gaps they have, and also what they want. When I started at the company, I said I was interested in research and development, and they took that, and in a year and a half, they moved me to research and development. I said I was interested in gaining business knowledge. They put me in an MBA program. And I'm like, is this really how it works? You just tell someone what you need, and then they give it to you if they have the ability. And you talk to the leaders at our company, you talk to mentors, and they say, yes, that's how it works. You want to get to a high level in your company? Someone needs to know that you want to get to a high level in your company to pave a path for you. Or if you're struggling in a particular area and you need development, they need to know that so you don't continue to struggle. And so I would say that's one of the biggest things. If I would have known that long time ago, I feel like I would be a lot further than where I am right now.
So would most of us, actually.
And the sentence was, if I knew back then what I know now?
Yes.
Okay. So if I knew back then what I know now, I would use my fear more often than I would let my fear use me.
That's a good one.
So
Very good one.
let me elaborate. So it's very intimidating to be on stage and to do public speaking. And honestly, I am not a fan of public speaking, but I would rather use that fear of public speaking than let it use me and not be up here and talk to all of you. Because if there's just one student out there, one undergraduate student who could be touched by what I'm saying right now, then I did my job.
Yeah, and I'm sure there is. I'm sure there's probably way more than one. Absolutely.
I hope.
Absolutely. How about you, Monica?
I would probably say that I wish I knew back when I was in undergrad and probably early on in my master's that having a degree doesn't automatically make someone better than you. I think there's, for me, there's a lot of like intimidation when you, especially when I started my PhD program and you meet these folks who are very eminent in their field and you sort of, the things that they say and the way that they, the culture, you think, well, this is just the way they are. I mean, of course they know better. Like they're, you know, so famous scientists or whatever. And the further I've gone in my PhD, the more I realize, that's not how it works. You can absolutely be, you know, someone who has fantastic ideas, is absolutely worth talking to, contributing, and be, you know, fresh out of high school and have just started your undergrad. No one has a monopoly on good ideas.
Yeah.
So, yeah, thank you. So, yeah, just not letting a title kind of intimidate having a, you know, not putting my own ideas out there, I would say.
Very good. So this is such an insightful group and enlightened, and I'm really enjoying our conversation because you all seem to possess this capacity for deep reflection. So what I want to ask is, what are you working on now? And I know you're working on a job. Yes. And we're going to take care of that tonight. Okay. But just personally, in your work or in your giving back, what are you working on now personally? Like, I got to work on self-care because I don't do that as well as I need to do it. But I should. But I'm working on it. Yeah. And so tonight when I ride by the gym and give it a little nod.
That's the first step.
That's the first step. That's the first step. Okay. Well, I got step one down.
Right.
Well, I feel like I'm actually working on developing the non-academic part of my life. This is my, dare I say, 14th year of college in a row.
Yeah.
Between undergrad and now my PhD. That's a long time to be focused on academics. So as I'm getting really close to finishing, hopefully in December, I'll graduate. I really want to be a mom. So my husband and I would like to have a baby. So I think I would just think.
Yeah.
I would like to see, you know, what my life would be like, you know, developing that side of it. So
That's huge.
yeah, thank you.
That's huge, yeah. I can't wait to follow up on that. Now, see, the nice thing about the name Kelly is that it's a girl's name.
It is.
And a boy's name.
It is.
Just thought I'd throw that out
Yeah.
there.
Keep that in mind.
And what are you reading now?
So I am a really big fan of nonfiction. So because I'm on this kind of entrepreneurship journey. So I'm reading The Lean Startup right now.
Okay.
It's really great for anyone who has aspirations to do things in the entrepreneurship field, but not necessarily, you know, a really rich aunt, Kelly, who can help you out. So yeah, I'm reading The Lean Startup.
Touche. Anyone else working on something specific?
Surviving school.
That's a good one.
Surviving school, for sure.
And-
trying to have a balanced life, because it can get quite hectic when you want to perform well academically and you want to be professionally developed, and you also want to have your personal life in order. It can be quite messy. So that's something that I would love to work on, having a more balanced life.
And what are you reading now?
Okay, so bear with me, because the title of the book is a little maybe off-putting. It's called The Poisoner's Handbook, and it's by Deborah Blum. So what it is a historical perspective of the development of forensic toxicology in New York City back in the Jazz era, so early 1900s, kind of back when Prohibition first started. So I think it's important to kind of go back and get a perspective of history in
Nice.
science versus just focusing on what's happening right now.
Very good.
It's an interesting book. I highly recommend.
Okay, yeah. I'll get that title from you later on. I think I'd like that as well. Jonathan, anything specific that you're working on?
So I'm trying to work on managing multiple things at one time. And so I actually started reading a book called Drop the Ball. It's by Tiffany Dufu, and it's about achieving more by doing less. And it's really written from a black female's perspective of what it takes to be successful in the workplace while also being a mom and trying to do everything. But there's some really cool nuggets in there for people who aren't women as well. So I'm actually taking some good stuff from that book. I think it's really cool how she gives this perspective of you can have everything, but you have like a limited amount of resources, and which resources are you going to give up? Which ones are you going to keep? Or how are you going to use your resources to give you more time? So it's about, like you talked about, balance. And so, yeah, I'm working on balance by dropping some balls.
Nothing wrong with that, though. Nothing wrong with that, especially if they don't hit you in the head.
Right.
So I just want to pause here and see if there are any burning questions from any of you in the audience. My new best friends are waiting to hear from you. Yes, sir. There's a mic over there that they'd like for you to use so everyone can hear you.
How you doing? My name is Aaron Smith. I go to Virginia State University. I couldn't help but notice that you started off as a manufacturing engineer, I believe, correct? I wanted to know what made you transition from manufacturing into R&D?
Yep, so I started in manufacturing only because that manufacturing job was half lab, half plant. And so in that role, I was responsible for the scale up from R&D. So I got to work with all the R&D people while working in the manufacturing facility. And so we're testing all of the new ideas. But I really wanted to help shape the ideas that they came up with. And so R&D was the next best place for me. So that's how I ended up in R&D. I've always loved science, which is why I did undergraduate research.
Cool, thank you.
Hello, I had a comment. I'm Dr. Baronda Montgomery. I'm a professor of plant biochemistry at Michigan State, and I just wanted to reach out to Dr. Sutton, who said she's working on her networking. And we should definitely,
She's right, she's back there. She's from Michigan.
we should connect.
I see.
Yes, so let's connect. I
Okay.
wanted to honor your wanting to connect, so let's get you a job.
Okay. Thank you.
It all works out.
Thank you. And we've got a question right here. Yes, sir. Just if you would use the mic, please.
So hello, good evening. My name is Emmanuel Imoko. I go to Cal State LA, and I'm actually a civil engineering undergrad right now. So my question is, what would you say to somebody who has some previous record trouble that could possibly prevent them from getting hired somewhere once they finish their degree path?
I heard, what would you say to someone who has a record of trouble?
Yeah, like some, past stuff that might be on the record, but they're trying to get,
Like
educated.
a criminal record?
Yeah, that type of stuff.
Okay. Thank you for your question.
So I'm a recruiter for our company, and the first thing I would say is be upfront and honest with the recruiter. So letting them know that there's something in your past that may be hindering. And then that way you can at least have the opportunity to explain what happened. I would say that's the best way to go about it.
I dated a guy once who told me that no is first step to a yes. It didn't work out for him. I felt that coming. But I learned something. And so that would be my advice. Don't accept no. It's the first step to a yes. The yes is coming. We've got a couple of questions. I see one here, and then we'll go to the back over here. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, my name is Adele Bradley. I'm from St. Petersburg College in Tampa, Florida. And I also work for the college as well in the technical building. My degree is computer network administration. I have not graduated. I have like 48 credits. I'm not too far behind, but I have a question because I have to actually adapt to the diversity of being an older woman with older children, and it's like presumed to be like everything is easy, and being a role model in a fast pace or just being a civilian trying to make ends meet. What would you say to someone that is in college, doesn't necessarily have the voice to actually speak up, whether they started or they're getting ready to end and they still don't have the same or the different resources? How do you try to inspire someone that's like really interested in science to like keep moving forward? Because like there can be times where it's easy, and then when you come into prerequisites, it's like, well, then what class do I take to try to get the degree? So like living in that type of aspect of that reality, what would you say to an older person? I mean, I'm 40, I just turned 40, so I mean, what would you say to someone like that?
So what would you say to keep someone motivated when there are all of these other things happening in life? Because life happens, whether we like it or not. And I think it would probably be safe to say that there's something that we all have been through that was a challenge. And so what did you do to stay focused and not get derailed along the way? Can you think of a time?
Personally, me looking back helps me keep moving forward. Because if I wasn't in college, if I wasn't trying hard in my courses, where would I be? I'd be working a dead-end job that I hated, and I wouldn't have a future. I wouldn't be able to break out of the cycle that my family seems to keep going through for some reason, generation after generation after generation. So me looking back, looking at what my parents went through, looking back how I lived before my life as a college student really encourages me to keep moving forward, no matter how hard it gets. And I know it gets really hard, especially if you're a non-traditional student, especially if you have children. It's very challenging, but I'm sure that you'll find some sort of motivation. You seem to be a very strong woman.
Thank you.
So.
Thanks, appreciate it.
And I think your comment earlier, Jonathan, about being able to articulate what you need and to say it and expect that somebody is going to hear it and do something about it.
Right.
I like that. Thank you so much. We're going to come to the back. Yes, sir.
Good evening. My name is Igor Vu from Texas Southern University. My question is, for those of you PhDs, how do you know you want to go for your PhD instead of doing something else?
How did you know you wanted to go through your PhD instead of doing something else?
Yeah, how do you know you want to get it?
How'd you know, Doc?
Well, in general, I love agriculture, just in general. So that kind of helped push me through my program doing a PhD. There are some fun times. I mean, I won't lie, like 99% of the time it sucks, kind of. But like there's that 1% that's just like, oh my God, this is fantastic. And like that, it changed my life. And so one of the things I do is I like to sit and I I do a lot of self-reflection. I've learned to do that lately. So I think about if I want to quit something simply because it's hard or because I'm uncomfortable, and if the answer is yes, then that kind of motivates me and tells me that I need to keep doing it, because it allows me to feel that I'm changing. Because you want to know that you're evolving, you want to know that you're growing, you want to know that you're learning. And if you're comfortable, well, I won't say for me, I'll say if I'm comfortable, then I feel like I'm not learning and I'm not growing, and I want to continue to learn and grow. So that's what kind of motivated me to want to continue with a PhD. Because I quit like every day in that program. I promise you, I quit. I even had a conversation with my advisor. I was like, look, you cool, but like this program, I don't think I can do it anymore. Like I can't take it. And so, I mean, you have those days, but in the end, it ends up being worth it.
I love that honesty. Absolutely. Every day. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, my name is Caitlin Lilly, and I'm an undergraduate physics and math major at the University of Maryland, Baltimore County. So my research background is actually in astronomy, but my interests actually lie in the field of applied mathematics. And so how do I market myself to be able to take my experience and apply it to my new interests?
So I think that's fantastic. I think speaking to the fact that you can stay motivated and that you are able to learn from so many different places and resources and professors, I think that is one of the ways to move forward. My undergrad is in marine biology. Like, I used to scuba dive, and now I'm like in a lab with mice. Like, those things are really incongruent, but I think at least what I've learned going through grad school is that what professors and academic departments really seem to want is someone who's willing to learn. And if you can really share like, hey, I learned this and this and this, in astronomy, and now I'm learning this and this in math, I think that is more important than the fact that you stayed with one thing. Because people really do come from all sorts of different backgrounds, and where you end up can be very different from where you started. So I think just talk to that learning mindset, and that no matter what problem comes in front of you, you will solve it. So that would be my advice.
It's good advice, very good advice. Okay, so we're getting some questions. Yes, ma'am, please.
Hi, thank you all for being here to give us more insight into the STEM area. My name is Peggy Seats. I'm the founder of the Washington Interdependence Council. We're a nonprofit civic agency that has, for the last 23 plus years, been working on trying to establish a world-class living memorial to Benjamin Banneker along the LaFont Plaza, Banneker Overlook Circle property in Southwest DC. When we started out this process, that area was very dilapidated, but our organization brought in $138 million in federal funds from the Department of Transportation, which has paid for its basic renovation, which is pretty much over now. But our nonprofit is charged with bringing in the different aspects of the design for the memorial. And we have lost most of our original board members, which consisted of illustrious people, such as our first recruitment, Dr. Dorothy Height, Dr. John Hope Franklin, Dr. Abdullah Aleem Shabazz. As mathematicians, you guys probably have heard of him. And Colonel Ezra Cummings, who is our CEO. And of course, Mrs. Louise Hutchison, who was historian and author, who named Banneker Overlook for him in the 1970s. The problem our organization is facing now is trying to get the support of people like you and corporations to understand how important it is to have this memorial, because we want to make it a living memorial to train children from age 7 on through to college. at the Benjamin Banneker Institute of Math and Science Technology, the living part of it, because we have plenty of space to do that along LaFont Plaza, except now all the developers have arrived in DC 23 years later. So I just wanted to come up and say to you guys who are the role models for the children that we want to prepare to be future you people, saying that kindly, leaders in the STEMs, because this is not an option for America anymore. And I welcome any assistance that you all may have, any recommendations. Our website is bannekermemorial.org, and we are in dire need of a new board of directors. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you for your work. And just to reiterate, this is Dr. Safira Sutton. So if you're looking for a board member or a director, Dr. Safira Sutton.
Yes,
Do you like that word?
I like
that
anything.
sounds exciting.
It does
though.
sound exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Yes, ma'am. Oh, let me go here and then I'll come to you.
Hello, my name
Hi.
is Shaw Cook. I'm a 19-year-old senior at Mississippi Valley State University, major in both biology and chemistry. My question was, how would you juggle motherhood and a career? Oftentimes it seems as though females have to choose between pursuing their career first and then thinking of motherhood, or it being somewhat impossible to do both at the same time.
So the unfortunate thing is that's probably a panel for a different day because I don't think any of us are mothers. However, Dr. Malcolm, can you help us out with this one, please? Question was, how do you juggle motherhood? And Dr. Rankin said, pack them in the suitcase.
I have more people ask me about, like, should I have my children when I'm a graduate student, or should I have my children when I'm a postdoc? Should I have my children after I'm in my career? And I tell them there's never any good or bad time to have your children. Just go on and have them, and just integrate them into your life.
Yes.
When I would give presentations, for example, on the weekends, my kids went with me because they needed to see what mother did. And I served on the Smithsonian Advisory Council, and they loved that because they got to go into the museums when there was nobody else in the museum, because it was real early in the morning. You just do it. You do it. You basically form a network of people around you, and the community, the village basically helps you, and you get through it.
Yeah, you get through it. Thank you. Thank you.
So we have time for two very, very quick
We
questions.
got to do, can we please do three? Iris, I got three
Yes.
people standing at these three
Yes,
microphones.
three more
I'd
quick
like to go
questions,
here,
and then
here,
if anybody else has
and
a
then
burning
there.
question, you can feel free to come talk with our panelists after the plenary. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
All right, good evening. My name is Bashir Langi. I'm a civil engineering student at the University of Missouri St. Louis. I'm graduating in the spring of 21, and I'm looking at graduate school, but I still can't decide if I want to go, if I want to get my master's in civil engineering or get my MBA. And what are you guys' opinion on that? Like, what do you think the industry is looking for right now, especially like the engineering and the STEM industry? And I just wanted to hear your thoughts on that.
Good question. We'll ask the engineer.
So for civil engineers, majority of the people who I work with have masters in civil engineers, and they usually go to get their PEs. But I wouldn't say that an MBA is out of the field for you either. I was actually in the same position. After my biochemical engineering degree, I tried to figure out whether I wanted to get a master's in engineering or an MBA. I decided the MBA because I had already worked in industry for 6 years, and what I was gonna get out of the master's was gonna be more coursework and the stuff that I was already doing research in. And so I think it truly depends on your field, and I would say majority of the civil engineers who at least I work with, at least on the project management side, who build new facilities, they all have masters. Does that help?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
And I'll come to you, sir, in the vest.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Damian Greatheart. I'm a professor at Livingstone College. So my question to you is, how do you keep the passion in your field instead of bouncing around from different areas of concentrations? How do you keep the passion in your one respective area?
How do you keep your passion for one?
For one concentration. Like
One
area.
concentration. How do you keep your passion for, well, we have so many different interests and things that we do, and double majors and concentrations and
I mean, if you love learning, then that's what I love. Like, I love to learn. So it just so happens that I wanted to learn something that was in doing my MBA that was different from my day-to-day, bench research. But I think what's important is finding that sweet spot of something that is challenging you, but that it's not so hard that you're just like hitting your head against the wall every time. Because that sweet spot, that flow state, that's where I'm at in my MBA. Because I don't know a whole lot, but I know how to learn really well. So it keeps me motivated. So I don't know if just continually challenging yourself to kind of be in that spot might be helpful.
And it varies for everybody,
Yeah,
that
it's
sweet
different
spot,
from
but you
everybody.
know it when you feel it.
Oh yeah.
You know it.
Personally,
oh yes.
I wanted to say a quick little blurb. So for myself, when I find that I'm kind of stressed out and I'm kind of getting fed up with chemistry, I find it really refreshing when I'm able to talk to fellow chemists who are doing different research, and you can tell that they're on fire for what they do. For me, it's really refreshing, and it kind of helps inspire me to continue on and kind of get a refreshing perspective on my own behalf.
Nice. So just talk to somebody.
Yeah,
who
talk
is
to
excited.
someone in the field. They might be doing something a little bit different, but if they have the passion and they're on fire for it, it has a contagious kind of effect.
Absolutely.
I find.
Absolutely. Were you about to? You good? Okay. I'm anxious for you to get like some cards. So you can decide. So anxious. Yes, sir. You will have the last question of the night.
Good evening. Hi, my name is Ifeanyi Chukwu Ezenwinyi from North Carolina Central University. My question, kind of similar to his, I just want to know how you deal with stress and like how you deal with stress in your field, like pursuing your degree, and without getting overly carried away.
How do you deal with stress? And what a great note for us to end on,
That's a
because I
million-dollar
think
question.
it is the million-dollar question, because it's unavoidable.
It is unavoidable.
Right? It's life. So where I'd like for us to end is best stress-reducing tactic.
Well, for me to reduce stress, I did a lot of things. I didn't do just one thing. I would say lean on your family, lean on your friends, and find something else that you like to do that has nothing to do with what you're doing. Those three things really helped me deal with the stress that I was having throughout my program.
I like to watch trash TV.
Me too.
Yeah.
Yes, I just watched Real Housewives of Atlanta the other day.
Yep. Trash TV. Okay. Best stress-reducing tactic. Jonathan, why are you laughing at me? Like I'm so serious.
They just make me feel good about myself.
I like cooking. So after work, I live alone. So after work, I cook myself food. And so that's my way to stress relief. Even though it's kind of like an experiment in the kitchen, I don't really follow recipes. I live above a grocery store. So when I feel the urge to cook, I go downstairs.
So I have the opposite. I used to cook, and then one day I asked my husband, like, please start doing more of this. And now I don't cook at all, and it's fantastic. So if you can find someone, roommate, whoever, who can do the thing that you don't like to do, oh man, it's sweet. So I highly recommend whatever that is for you.
Yeah. I mean, we're all human. We all have our little quirks, our little things that we like, our little hobbies. So I would recommend doing what you like as a hobby. I like playing video games personally. I mean, but you had also mentioned not overdoing it, and that can be really difficult because, you know, when you're really stressed out, you really want to kind of like deflect and kind of comfort yourself by doing what you want to do, right? I would say if you don't want to overdo it, it might sound weird, but set a timer. Like if you play video games, set a timer for an hour, hour and a half. When that timer goes off, turn off the console, turn off the PC.
Real good advice. Thank you. Family, please join me in thanking our panelists for this evening.